Why empaths, chosen ones, vibrate at a frequency very few can handle. Some people walk into a room and instantly change the energy, not because they speak loudly or demand attention, but because their presence vibrates at a frequency so rare, so pure, that it stirs something in others, something long forgotten. If you're an empath, if you've ever been told you feel too much, care too deeply, or sense things others don't even notice, then this message is for you. Because what you carry is not ordinary. What you carry is sacred. And the reason life often feels so overwhelming is because you are vibrating at a frequency that very few can handle, let alone understand. Being an empath is not just about emotions, it's about energetic codes. You are wired differently. Where others see surface, you see depth. Where others hear words, you hear vibration. You feel the tension behind the smiles, the pain behind the silence. And you don't just notice these things, you absorb them. You carry them, sometimes without even realizing it. That's why crowds exhaust you. That's why small talk feels painful. That's why you sometimes need to be alone for days to feel like yourself again. It's not weakness, it's sensitivity. And in a world that glorifies numbness, sensitivity is a radical act of courage.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
But here's the deeper truth. Empaths are not just sensitive. They are chosen. Not chosen in an egoic, superior way, but chosen in the sense that their soul volunteered for a mission that many would avoid. A mission that involves transmuting collective pain, holding a mirror to unconsciousness, and anchoring frequencies of compassion, truth, and love. That's why empathic people often experience trauma early in life. It's not because they are cursed, it's because their soul knew that to truly understand humanity's wounds, they had to feel them firsthand, not to be broken by them, but to rise through them and become a beacon for others still lost in the dark. When you vibrate at this level, you become a disruptor, not the kind that creates chaos, but the kind that reveals it. Your presence alone makes people confront parts of themselves they've buried. You don't even have to say a word. Just by being, you reflect back truth. And truth is uncomfortable for those who have built their lives on illusion. That's why some people are drawn to you like a magnet, while others are repelled, even hostile. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just vibrating in a way that either heals or exposes, and most people aren't ready for either. Have you ever wondered why you attract people who are wounded, lost, or in pain? It's not because you're weak, it's because your frequency offers them a taste of something they've forgotten: wholeness. But here's where it gets complicated. If you're not careful, you begin to take on their burdens, their wounds, their chaos. You become a sponge instead of a mirror. And that's when you start to lose yourself. That's when you feel drained, confused, even depressed, not because you're broken, but because you've been carrying energy that was never yours to hold. You see, as an empath, your gift is also your test. You feel everything, but that doesn't mean you're meant to fix everything. Your job is not to save people. It's to stay rooted in your own frequency so that others can remember theirs. You don't have to dim your light to make others comfortable. Your light is the very thing they need, even if it scares them at first. But to embody that light fully, you have to master discernment. You have to know when to open and when to guard, when to give and when to walk away, not from a place of fear, but from a place of sacred self-respect. Let me ask you something that goes beyond the rational. What if your whole life, the pain, the isolation, the deep knowing, was not a mistake but a design? What if you chose this path before you were even born, knowing it would be hard, knowing it would break you open, but also knowing what you'd become on the other side? Can you feel the truth of that in your bones? Empaths are often called too sensitive for this world, but maybe the world has been too numb for the empath. Maybe this planet, in its current state of chaos and disconnection, needs exactly what you've been told is too much. Your ability to feel deeply, to love without condition, to see truth through illusion, that is the medicine this world is starving for. But to offer that medicine without being consumed by the suffering around you, you have to become sovereign in your energy. You have to learn how to cleanse, protect, and recharge your field daily. You have to treat your vibration as a sacred temple. Because it is. You can't keep living like everyone else, because you're not like everyone else. And that's not a burden, it's a responsibility. You've been given access to spiritual frequencies that most people don't even know exist. You've had moments where time stopped, where you felt the entire universe breathing through you, where love became not an emotion, but a state of being. Those moments are not random, they are reminders, activations, glimpses of the truth you came here to embody. But here's the paradox: the more you awaken, the lonelier it can feel. The more you see, the less you relate to the noise of the world. You might feel like an alien, like no one truly understands you, and that's okay, because your tribe is not found through logic, it's found through resonance. When you own your frequency without apology, you begin to attract others who vibrate at the same level, not because you're trying to find them, but because you've finally found yourself. This is your invitation to stop shrinking, to stop apologizing, to stop trying to explain your depth to those committed to staying shallow. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to be a lighthouse for those ready to wake up. And your light, your energy, your presence, it's more powerful than you realize. But you have to claim it, you have to trust it, you have to become it. You are not too much, you are a portal, a bridge between worlds, a living frequency that reminds others of who they really are. And the reason so few can handle your vibration is because it demands truth, it demands presence, it demands transformation. And most people are still addicted to the illusion. But that's not your concern. Your concern is to keep rising, keep radiating, keep remembering, because when you live from your highest frequency, the world doesn't just change around you, it begins to awaken with you. You were never meant to fit in, you were born to transmit light. From a young age, we're taught to adapt, to blend in, to be acceptable. But for you, the empath, the chosen one, this has always felt like a betrayal. You may have tried to silence your intuition, to ignore the tug in your chest when something didn't feel right, to smile through the discomfort of energies that screamed at you beneath the surface. But no matter how hard you tried, you couldn't unsee what you saw or unfeel what you felt. And that's because you weren't meant to. You weren't designed to fit into the mold of a sleeping world. You were wired to shake it awake. You carry within you a current of light that doesn't conform. It doesn't shrink. It doesn't negotiate with fear. And that light, your light, transmits frequencies that interrupt the matrix. That's why your presence feels unsettling to some. It's not because there's something wrong with you, it's because you mirror what others refuse to see in themselves. You awaken dormant truths. You trigger unresolved wounds. You remind them of their own forgotten light. and that's not always welcomed, but it is necessary. You are not here to be liked, you are here to be real. You are here to be a vessel for truth in a world drowning in performance. You've probably noticed how tired you feel after being around certain people or places. It's not just social fatigue, it's energetic mismatch. Your system is finely tuned, like a sacred instrument, and dissonant frequencies, lies, manipulation, superficiality, create static in your field. That's why certain environments feel like poison to you. That's wisdom. That's your inner guidance protecting your frequency. We live in a culture that rewards conformity and punishes authenticity, especially when that authenticity exposes what's fake. But you weren't born to repeat patterns, you were born to break them. You weren't born to play small, you were born to lead. Not from ego, but from essence. Not from control, but from connection. And the moment you stop trying to explain your light to those committed to the dark is the moment you step into your true power. Have you ever noticed how when you speak your truth, people either lean in or recoil? That's because truth carries a vibration, and vibration doesn't lie. It cuts through masks, it pierces illusions, it rearranges energy fields. You don't have to say much. Sometimes your silence speaks louder than words. Sometimes your presence alone is enough to create change in the room. That's not arrogance, that's energetic fact. But for you to fully embody this, you have to stop questioning your knowing. You have to stop watering yourself down in the name of being palatable. You weren't created to be palatable, you were created to be powerful. And that power, it's not loud, it's not aggressive, it's still, it's sovereign, it's magnetic. It's the kind of power that comes from alignment, not force. And when you live in alignment with your soul, your frequency becomes medicine. Not everyone will receive it, not everyone will understand it, but those who are ready, those who've been searching, praying, aching for something real, they will find you. Not because you chase them, but because your vibration calls to them in the silence. There is a deep loneliness that often comes with being a chosen one, not because you are alone, but because so few speak your language. So few see the world through the eyes of energy, of truth, of spirit. You might doubt yourself. You might wonder if you're broken. You might try to normalize yourself just to feel a sense of belonging. But I promise you, every time you abandon your truth in the name of fitting in, your soul dims a little, and every time you return to your essence, your light expands. Let me ask you something so deep it bypasses logic and speaks straight to your soul. What if your isolation was never rejection, but redirection? What if the very spaces you've been excluded from were never meant to hold your frequency? What if you weren't left out? You were lifted out. You are not here to be part of the noise. You are the silence that exposes it. You've likely walked through fires that would have destroyed others. You've felt pain that has no words. You've carried emotions that weren't even yours, just because you couldn't stand to see others suffer. And yet, you're still here, not just surviving, but remembering, reclaiming, rising. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you chosen. But don't let the world convince you that you have to suffer to prove your light. You are allowed to protect your energy. You are allowed to thrive. You are allowed to create boundaries so that your frequency stays pure. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to choose yourself, not because you are selfish, but because you are sacred. Your light is not just for others, it's for you first. It's the fire in your belly when you speak your truth. It's the peace in your chest when you know you've honored your path. It's the clarity that comes when you stop seeking validation and start living from vibration. That's where your magic lives. That's where your mission begins. You didn't come here to dim down, you came here to light up. And when you finally stop trying to fit in, you'll realize you were never meant to. You were meant to be the reminder, the activation, the transmission. You were meant to be the light in a world that forgot how to feel it. The weight you carry isn't yours. You're channeling the collective. If you've ever felt like you're carrying emotions that don't belong to you, like you wake up heavy without an obvious reason, like you're grieving something you can't name, you're not imagining it, you're not broken, you're plugged in. You're tapped into something deeper, something vast, something ancient. Being an empath, a chosen one, means you are not just feeling your own energy, you are channeling the emotional atmosphere of an entire collective reality. You're not just a soul in a body, you are a frequency antenna tuned into the pain that most people hide, suppress, or deny. That's why it's so hard to explain what you feel, because what you're processing isn't always yours. You walk into a room and instantly feel the tension between two people who haven't spoken their truth in years. You sit beside someone and feel the grief they've never let themselves cry out. You touch an object and feel the echoes of whoever last held it. You pass through a city and absorb the unspoken anxiety that simmers beneath the surface of everyday life. This isn't a curse, this is your gift, but it becomes a curse when you forget how to separate what is yours from what is not. Empaths are often the hidden healers of the world. You don't need to be a therapist, a doctor, or a spiritual teacher to be one. You simply need to exist in your truth. Your presence itself becomes a balm. But because you're carrying so much, because you're absorbing and transmuting energy constantly, you need to create sacred practices, not just as self-care but as soul survival. You need to cleanse daily, not just your body, but your energy field. You need to unplug from the chaos, from the noise, from the collective anxiety that is not yours to fix. You need to retreat often, not to escape, but to return to your center. There's a reason why you feel exhausted after being in crowds. There's a reason why you get overwhelmed by the news, by violent films, by even the energetic undertones of someone's voice. You're not weak. You're highly attuned. You were never meant to numb out to survive. You were meant to stay awake to transform. But to do that, you must learn to ground. You must learn to shield. You must learn to say, "This energy is not mine to carry." You must learn to discern what is a soul whisper and what is a psychic residue of someone else's pain. You are not just feeling, you are filtering. And the world needs you to continue filtering, but not at the cost of your own light. The more conscious you become, the more you must protect your vibration, not from fear, but from wisdom. Because your frequency is medicine, and medicine must be preserved, tended to, honored. You can't keep giving from an empty well. You can't keep trying to heal others while abandoning yourself. The work begins with you. Here's what few understand. Empaths are often processing ancestral pain. You may be feeling generational wounds passed down through your DNA, trauma your grandparents never spoke of, grief your lineage buried, shame your culture normalized. And yet, here you are, crying tears you don't fully understand, grieving things you never personally experienced. You are the end of a cycle. You are the one who feels it all, so it can finally be released. That's why it feels so heavy sometimes, because it is. But you are strong enough to carry it through, so long as you remember it is not yours to keep. There is a collective awakening happening, slow and messy and beautiful, and empaths like you are at the center of it. You are the ones who are first to feel the shifts, first to sense the changes, first to embody the new energies coming in. That's why your journey has been so intense, because you are not just waking up for yourself, you are waking up on behalf of many. You are a soul transmitter, and when you step fully into that role, you begin to channel not just pain, but power. Not just sorrow, but sacred purpose. But you need to go deeper than just feeling. You need to become the master of your own field. You need to learn the language of energy like it's your first tongue. You need to listen not just with your ears, but with your aura. You need to clear your space like you clear your home. Smudge, meditate, ground, return to nature. Drink it in like water. Let the earth recalibrate your nervous system. Let the sun remind you that you are made of light. Let the wind carry away the weight that was never yours. Ask yourself the question that cuts through all illusions. What am I carrying today that doesn't belong to me? Sit with it. Breathe with it. Let the answer rise. Then, with love, with sovereignty, release it. You are not here to be a dumping ground for other people's unresolved energy. You are here to be a lighthouse, and a lighthouse must be anchored to withstand the storm. The more you release what's not yours, the more your true frequency shines. And your true frequency, your undiluted soul essence, is unlike anything this world has ever seen. It's clarity in a world of confusion. It's depth in a world of distraction. It's realness in a world of masks. And that's why you feel so different. Because you are. And that difference, it's your divine assignment. So, stop questioning your sensitivity. Stop apologizing for your depth. Stop carrying what was never yours to begin with, and start remembering you are not just an empath. You are an energy architect, a soul translator, a frequency holder for a new earth. Your sensitivity is a superpower the world has forgotten. There's a reason your heart feels everything so deeply. There's a reason your eyes well up with tears at beauty others overlook. There's a reason silence speaks to you louder than words ever could. It's not because you're weak. It's not because you're too emotional. It's because you were born with a gift, one the world has long forgotten how to honor. Your sensitivity is not a flaw to be fixed. It's a superpower that was never meant to be suppressed. In a world trained to numb, to distract, to armor itself with logic and cynicism, your ability to feel is revolutionary. You've been told your softness is liability. But what if it's your greatest strength? What if the very things you tried to hide, your tears, your empathy, your intuition, are the exact tools you came here to use to heal a fractured planet? What if your sensitivity is not something to overcome, but something to master? The truth is, the world doesn't need more people who can dominate, manipulate, or numb themselves into success. The world needs souls who can feel fully, speak honestly, and love fiercely. And that's you. That's always been you. You've likely looked around and wondered, why does no one else seem to feel this like I do? It's because they've forgotten. But you haven't. You're a keeper of ancient wisdom, encoded in your nervous system. You feel the collective pulse. You sense the subtle shifts. You know when someone's lying, even if their words are perfect. You know when something's off, even if everyone else is clapping. That knowing isn't in your head. It's in your field. It's in your bones. It's in your soul. And it's real. Sensitivity allows you to read the invisible. It gives you access to dimensions that others can't see. It's what makes you a healer, a guide, a mirror, a mystic. People come to you not because you have the answers, but because your presence feels like home. They don't always know how to articulate it, but they feel safer around you, more seen, more understood. That's not random. That's your frequency doing its work, and it's sacred. But there's a cost to forgetting your own power. When you believe what the world says, that you're too much, too soft, too sensitive, you begin to armor up. You begin to dull your shine. You begin to overthink, overanalyze, overgive. You abandon your instincts in favor of logic. You dismiss your feelings as irrational. You try to fit into a system that was never built for someone like you, and in doing so, you betray your own magic. The journey back to your power begins with reclaiming your sensitivity, not as a curse, but as a compass. It begins with listening to your body, your breath, your intuition. It begins with honoring your need for solitude, silence, and sacred space. It begins with surrounding yourself with energies that nourish your soul instead of deplete it. You don't need to be tougher, you need to be truer. Have you ever noticed how you come alive in nature? How the sound of the wind, the warmth of the sun, the grounding presence of the earth brings you back to center? That's because nature speaks the same language you do, vibration. It doesn't use words, it uses energy, and so do you. That's why your healing doesn't come from more information, it comes from more embodiment, more presence, more remembering. You are not here to become like everyone else. You are here to remember who you are beneath the noise. You are here to live in alignment with your soul, no matter how different that looks. You are here to be the one who feels deeply in a world that's forgotten how. Your tears are sacred, your joy is sacred, your rage when expressed with truth and not destruction is sacred. All of it is energy. All of it is part of your communication with this universe. So what do you do with this gift? You honor it. You tend to it. You train it like a sacred instrument. You learn to discern what is yours and what is not. You become aware of how your body responds to people, places, and words, and you trust that response. You stop asking for permission to feel. You stop apologizing for your truth. You stop shrinking so others can stay asleep. Let me ask you something real, something soul deep. If you stopped judging your sensitivity and started trusting it, what kind of life would you create? What kind of impact would you make? What kind of love would you attract? What kind of peace would become possible? You were never meant to be numb. You were never meant to armor yourself with sarcasm and disconnection. You were meant to open hearts, to awaken the dormant, to bring softness back to a world hardened by fear. Your sensitivity is how the divine moves through you. It's how the universe feels itself. It's how healing enters the room without a single word spoken. So yes, you're different, but that difference is your destiny. Your sensitivity is a lighthouse in the fog. It's the frequency of the new earth. It's the signal for others to begin remembering too. And when you stop hiding, when you fully embody this light, you give others permission to do the same. You are not broken, you are breaking through. You are not too much. You are a mirror for the parts of others they've forgotten how to love. You are not weak. You are the pulse of a planet that is finally learning how to feel again. And that is your power, that is your purpose, that is your path. Let the world feel you. Let the world change because of you. Let your sensitivity lead. Because the truth is, you are not just here to survive the world, you are here to help it remember its soul, through presence, through feeling, through love. That's what chosen ones do, and that's exactly who you are.